How will we change things in the world? After being so long on this planet, some people still haven't figured it out for some strange reason. I'm not sure if things will change in the future, but my hope is that it will. There are secrets in life, and one of them is that until we ourselves will start to change things, and we will put the power in our hands, nothing will ever change. We don't need a billionaire or a politician to change one thing. We can't expect a man who earned his fortune by risking his own money and his time, plus his life, after succeeding to give it all away because we think he should do so. It is unfair and unnecessary, because the power lies in each and in many, though many will never be if each doesn't count. Me and you, dear friend, should do it, not the billionaire or our government. Do you think that a government will ever be that hero that saves the world and you? Do you think that some other person can change things if you are sitting on your hands with your mouth wide open criticizing the world? Let us take our own problems, and let us take those that people face every day in the world. If you throw that rubbish on the street, it is more than likely that it was you. The one who should pick it up is definitely not the one who sweeps the streets. And if you think that he should, we are losing this game already. And this is exactly why we live in this world today. Your actions and no one else's will decide your life, and your actions will decide what will happen in the world. Your each action counts, and to think otherwise is to be insane. While one is chopping trees to have his bacon cooked, and the other person is saving that tree and that bacon, we are going against each other, and we want to win something. War not only happen between nations, but war is happening all the time in our today life. We are doing one, and the next to us is doing something opposite to what we see or we want to have. One is going vegan because of animal cruelty, and the one next to him stuffing himself with pork chops, smiling and smirking towards the one who at least took one step towards good. Meanwhile, the one who is smiling and smirking is a jackass of all trades in this case, because his taste buds are more important than any other being who can smell and sense his own death. Just as his home is more important than any other home on this planet. Once we have our bellies stuffed with milkshakes with vanilla, please, why should we bother with the rest? Most people criticize any new thing that comes out to better the future of our planet, like veganism, sustainable energy, different kinds of farming, minimalism, and many others, and you just sit there and criticize it. Are you crazy? One thing is for sure, we can't really know what is really going on with this global warming, or if a human ever walked on the moon, and as a matter of fact, I give 0 bells to the latter. But what I know from experience and my own not so bad eyesight is that people, nature, and animals suffer quite a lot. It is not as difficult to notice a person starving on the street as if Armstrongs are dancing on one leg on some other planet. And why we should look that far if we live so close to the mess that we have made. You don't need to go far to see all the suffering and unnecessary cruelty. Ignorance is a disease. Being misinformed is not as bad because you don't know. It is acceptable, but what isn't is to know the truth and still try to stay away from it by walking in the other direction. Truth is higher than anything you have ever faced or may face in the future, and there is no hiding from it. Your white lies, and sometimes not so white, won't change this fact. Truth can't be escaped. And you know, if you don't, I will point out a few now, that few truths live among us, and they are so clear to see. One is that we are all dying and there is no escape from it. That your life is worth just the same as any other life on this planet. That most of the things you give importance to would fade away in seconds if you would wake up. Anything you ignore, knowing that it causes pain or suffering, is just another form of bad. That your actions have an equal reaction. That every cause has an effect. If you give a note for the pork, one will be killed tomorrow and one more put in the cage. If you give a note for fur, one animal will be killed tomorrow and another one will be placed in the cage. If you buy a thing from a sweatshop today, the 10-year-old will be there working tomorrow, to support the demand, and this demand is you. If you send your kids to the army to fight wars, you support the war. If you walked by when someone asked you to give the last hope for them to survive, you took that chance with you. There's no denying all of this. People can scream in my face or bring an encyclopedia of facts to support why this is that and so on. I could be looking them straight in the eyes with the truth in mind, and all those so-called facts melt in the light of truth. And the truth is common sense, which translated to understandable words is don't do what you know is bad. Most of the decisions you make could be bad for you, and they are yours. I'm not here to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't do when it only affects them, but when your decision affects others in a bad way, that's a harm. You are causing harm to other people or whoever it is affecting. As I mentioned before, one truth is that every cause has an effect. Simply what goes around comes around, and I can clearly see why we are so messed up and suffer so much. We laugh with a sense of being sober of those who pay respect to nature and anyone and everything around them, although only showing how drunk and dazed we really are. Religion was invented to keep an animal like side of us to behave. Of course, many people never needed any extra teaching or a rule to follow. They used to, and are still following their hearts. And a lot are still going where the body is going, and that is why we see what we see. You don't have to believe me or any other person. Just simply watch and wake up, and you will see that your actions affect you in a big way, and it affects everything on a large scale. Any action you take has a chain-like reaction. For example, you don't try to save every child in the world who is left, but take one and do all you can do to support them. Buy books, buy clothes, buy food, and give that child love. Only one child, only one. By helping that child to grow up, we have an adult who can look after himself. He received all he needed to live a good life. They will have kids, and the kids will be looked after. And if they do the same thing that you did, you won't need to wait long before you see your seeds bear fruit on a larger and larger and larger scale. Is it not better than waiting for someone to save all? If you help one person to leave the streets, and if he would help one more person, and that other person would help another person, etc., etc., and let us say that after 1,000 you try to find out how 1,000 people left the streets, where it would lead to you, and then it would lead to the person you have saved, and so on. And that's how every but a little cause can have a large effect on all of us, and that is the only way to change things. And it starts with you and me. Otherwise, we are waiting for a miracle that somehow tomorrow either we or someone else will have a better life. The only miracle you need is to wake up and see that you have many options and you are free to do your deeds. So make sure you calculate where your deeds will lead. Will it lead to empty cages and empty foster homes, and it will lead us to a better future for us and our kids, or it will lead to tomorrow more like yesterday, and the decision is yours.